Good evening. My name is Alan OldStudent, and I am a United States-based blogger, a supporter of Occupy Tacoma and of Occupy Wall Street. On New Year's Eve of 2011-2012, I had the privilege of seeing many of you when I addressed the New Year's concert and rally at Tacoma's Occupy Park. It was dark, not well lit, and I was unable to see my text very clearly, making it difficult to read my remarks, so I had to improvise more than I wanted. They said they would record this speech, but if it was recorded, probably the video and sound quality left much to be desired. So now, I'm in my home office with my video cam, which accounts for the quality of this video. This, then, is the address I attempted to deliver at 10 p.m. as this eventful and historical year of 2011 marched off into history. Hello, my name is Alan OldStudent, here to mark off the new year. You know, it was exactly 3 months and 7 days ago that the Occupy Wall Street movement started, and few then, at the beginning, suspected that this tiny, scruffy group of individuals in a mostly ignored park in New York would kick off a movement that would end up shaking the empire to its roots. Yet, despite the hardship the activists have had to face in the over 1,000 Occupy sites throughout this country, the provocateurs, the police riots, the demeaning insults, despite all those many predictions that winter's rains and snows would send the occupiers scurrying home because, after all, they're just a bunch of lazy, dope-smoking hippies unwilling to work. Yes, despite all that, our movement continues to endure and grow. And let me tell you, it has not been easy. That it has been intense and difficult, and that's because the revolution eats her children. So to me, each and every one of you out there who continue building this historic movement are my heroes. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. The truth is that we do represent the interests of the 99% against the greed of the 1%. We, the 99%, chafe at how the 1% mobilize political power at our expense. But to break the political stranglehold of power that the 1% have over the rest of us, we need a counterpower. Our only hope for power is the power of mass, non-violent action. To be able to exercise that kind of power, we have to recognize certain basic facts. Number one, there is a difference between organizing ourselves and mobilizing others, the rest of the 99%. Both are essential to victory. Two, organizing among ourselves is the hard work the on-site occupiers and off-site activists do. For example, such activities as maintaining our website and Facebook, planning events like the New Year's party, organizing teach-ins and sit-ins, organizing anti-eviction occupations, organizing the Occupy the Courts events, organizing support for our City of Tacoma workers and the independent truck drivers and dock workers, and organizing support for the unemployed, organizing support for the homeless, and all the other victims of modern corporate capitalism and greed. However, we organizers cannot win by ourselves. 3. To win, we need to mobilize the rest of the 99%. Mobilizing others, in contrast to organizing among ourselves, is the other side of winning. Mobilizing involves us organizers reaching out to the rest of the 99%, involving a definitively sizable segment, probably the majority of the 99%, because we can only achieve enough power to win victories if we build a mass nonviolent movement. We must educate those so far uninvolved 99%ers that if we stick together, if we remember our common interests as 99%ers, we'll achieve the needed power to effectively take on the corporations. Key to doing this is helping the rest of the 99% understand that we are them and they are us. We must educate both ourselves and the rest of the 99% of a proud old labor slogan of the early 20th century militants, quote, "An injury to one is an injury to all," unquote. Getting out the masses in mutual support and mutual solidarity is literally what mobilizing means. That's actually the only way we have to win power against the 1%. We 99%ers need to stick together with the rest of our class brothers and sisters. For we cannot win without organizing among ourselves, but likewise, neither can we win without mobilizing the masses. It takes solidarity of the masses to win. Solidarity among all the victims of the 1% capitalist ruling class, the wage earners, small business people, the union members, seniors struggling on fixed incomes, the newly homeless who just last month were one paycheck away from the street, students and recent graduates who find themselves burdened under crushing debt they can never hope to pay off, a debt that is a lifelong millstone around their necks. We need solidarity with the unemployed who have little hope of finding work, solidarity with those who do find work, but who work under miserable conditions and earn miserable wages. It takes mass solidarity among ourselves for us, the 99%, to have power. Now, solidarity starts with understanding that we live in a class society, that the interests of the 1% class are not the same as ours. The 1% has a monopoly on political power. We have nothing but a meaningless vote to select the least undesirable among the bought and paid for pro-1% politicians. The old anarchists had a saying about this: if voting made a difference, voting would be outlawed. If our votes really meant anything at all, we would get to vote on whether there was a family wage job for all who want to work. Did you get to vote on that? No. We would get to vote on whether the air we breathe chokes us to death or grows cancers in our lungs. Did you get to vote on that? No. We would get to vote on whether the food we give our children poisons them. Did you get to vote on that? No. We would get to vote on whether the flower of our youth go off to be killed in war. War! Which is nothing more nor less than organized mass murder of foreign 99%ers and foreign lands, war waged so that the 1% can have monopoly control over those foreign marketplaces and resources. War that is blood for oil, blood for profit. Did you get to vote on any of that? No, no, and no. We need a decent education that teaches us and our children to think independently and critically. That teaches us that it is our moral duty to leave this world a better place than it was when we came here, instead of raising selfishness to a patriotic value and an American virtue. We need to learn that our lives are only the fodder fed to the corporate meat grinder that relentlessly strips the flesh off our bones to make the sausages of profit, that our blood, our sweat, and our tears are the gasoline that powers the monstrously cruel, cold-blooded, and unfeeling machine of modern capitalism. The only reason the 1% prevent us from having a meaningful vote is that a meaningful vote would threaten their almighty and holy profit. Instead, the corporate ruling class profits from unemployment, profit from joblessness. The corporate ruling class profits from endless wars. They profit from the dictatorial and petty management style so frequently found in so many of our workplaces throughout this country, the corporate ruling class profits from irresponsibly polluting and poisoning our sacred mother, the planet Earth. If the corporate ruling class, the 1%, could make a profit from decency, from peace, from environmental sanity, from full employment, universal justice, and real democracy, we would have had it a century ago. However, if we stick together, if we organize our class to act in solidarity, we can build a better future. We can build a future where our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will go to the museums and stare in fascinated horror at pictures and videos of our present-day lives, pictures that to them will seem to have come from an unimaginably sorrowful and barbaric past, our present time, where homeless and hungry children had no shelter from the weather, where thousands of people lined up for jobs to apply for a few minimum wage dead-end jobs, where people slept in the street because there was nowhere else to go. The children of the future will see our present-day murder weapons of war. The bombs, the cluster grenades, the drones, mines, napalm, tanks, warplanes, rubber bullets, flashbangs, water cannon, pictures and videos of battles. They will marvel that our generation permitted ourselves to live in such degrading circumstances in such a historical era as our present reality without making a revolution where we, the 99%, tolerated this kind of inhumanity just so the 1% could have their profits. They will ask their teachers, why did the people of the early 21st century worship Mammon and kneel in front of the gods of greed? But you can change the future. In fact, only you can change the future, so dare to imagine a different future. Go ahead. Imagine there is no war. Imagine all have the right to work a decent job, to live in human dignity. Imagine we have replaced wars with peace and human solidarity. Imagine we have eliminated poverty, homelessness, racism, obscurantism, and ignorance. Imagine that we get an education that teaches us to think critically and to have the power of imagination. Now, at the dawn of the new year, 2012, dare to hope for it. Let's educate ourselves about the reality of the world, because in a world where the rulers spend billions of dollars to stupefy us, education is a revolutionary act, and a free imagination is subversion. Let 2012 go down the drain of history, taking away whatever hobbling pettiness exists among ourselves that interferes with us effectively organizing and mobilizing the 99%. Let the new year of 2012 exalt us, raise us above pettiness and sectarianism. To paraphrase Tom Paine, old American revolutionary, let us be citizens of the whole world. Let us count the human community as our family. Let human kindness and solidarity be the basis for our morality. This is Alan OldStudent, wishing you an eventful, a satisfying, and a revolutionary new year. Thank you, and thank you.